So today I want to talk about Cruelty Squad, which is a game I had been wanting to play for a really long time, so I was excited to finally get around to playing it. Um, this game is kind of like Dishonored in that you go into like an open level that you're kind of free to explore however you want and get through however you want, and you have a target you have to kill, and then you have to escape from the level. Basically, from the moment you open up the game, you get a call from some guy being like, "Oh, I heard you're out of work. Like you got detached from the SEC death unit," and he's like, "There's not much a fucked up loser like you can do." So he wants you to get into the corporate mindset and start killing like CEOs basically, or like whoever the target is that you got paid to kill. Um, and your guy's like gone through some like operations or something to make him kind of fucked up, so he's not like a normal person. And one thing about this game is that like visually it's got a lot going on. It's kind of repulsive in a lot of ways, but it's like very intentionally made so like to be that way. um and really throughout the whole game, like you kind of understand it more, but really it never really makes sense because the game is just so visually like abstract. um but it's kind of fun, at least for me. I found it fun to like go through and see it. But yeah, there is like a level select, so like you start off, you can go to like Cruelty Squad headquarters and like talk to some people. Most people there are like friendly, and that's just kind of like a base level. And then you go to the next level, which I think is pharmacokinetics, and you kill your target and you unlock the next level, and you keep unlocking new levels until you get to the final level, which is the Archon grid, I believe. And then you like get through the Archon grid, you beat the final boss there, and then after you beat him, you unlock the first ending. But then there's also like bonus levels you can unlock and go through. The bonus levels are kind of fun because you can find them in the main levels, in some of the main levels, and you like go through a painting, kind of like Mario, and it takes you to the new level. And then there's like a house level that you have to unlock and buy for $1 million. So that was kind of a grind. I had some money for that, but because this game has like stocks, and if you invest in the stocks early enough in the right ones, then you can get a lot of money. Because the way the stocks work is like they change after each level. After every level you complete, it like impacts the stocks in some way, so they go up or down or whatever. And I got into that a little late because I was a little confused. But there's also like the black market. So one one really fun thing about this game is like when you kill people, you can like take their kidneys or their organs, or take their intestines or their brain or their heart or their liver, and then you can build up a stock of that and sell it on the black market for money. So that kind of has its own like market going up and down too. And the other way of making money is through fishing. So you can fish, you can unlock the fishing rod in a level, and then you can also fish. And some of them are worth a lot of money. A couple of them are worth over $1 million. So the way I ended up unlocking a house is that I went into the casino level and I fished for a Wheel of Fortune fish, which cost $1 million, and that let me pay for my house. And then I unlocked the house level. After the house level, once you beat the house level, and then after you beat the game, you have to there's like a second ending you can get. And to get that second ending, you basically have to go to Cruelty Squad headquarters. There's this door you have to go through, but you can only go through it on Hope Eradicated mode, which is the hardest difficulty, which you have to unlock by picking up a certain item. The way the difficulties work in this game is there's Divine Blessing mode, which is the normal difficulty, so the enemies do normal damage, and that's like the base difficulty. If you die one time, it puts you down one difficulty into the Flesh Automaton difficulty, in which enemies do half damage. And then if you die four times in Flesh Automaton difficulty, it puts you in Power and Misery difficulty, which is the easiest difficulty of the game. And in that difficulty, it lets you eat corpses and stuff to regain health. So each time you kill a guy, you can like eat their corpse to gain like one health. So it's a nice way of healing a little bit if you're like not doing so great. And it also takes away like the death penalty where you have to like pay whenever you die. Above that, above Divine Blessing difficulty, because Divine Blessing is normal, and then there's Hope Eradicated, which is like the hard mode of the game. And in Hope Eradicated mode, the enemies do more damage, but they also spawn more enemies or different variations of enemies. And one really interesting thing about this game is that no matter what difficulty you play on, there's always like a small percent chance that an enemy from Hope Eradicated difficulty will spawn in your level like at any point. So sometimes I found that a little confusing because this game doesn't really explain much. They kind of just toss you in there. Um, and so like I'd be playing level and all of a sudden there'd be an enemy somewhere where I'd never seen an enemy. I'm like, whoa, like how did that guy get there? But then they wouldn't be there the next time, but then they would, show up another time maybe. And yeah, that's that mechanic. So it's them appearing from the hard difficulty, which is really interesting. One other cool thing about this is that you can tell what difficulty the game is based on like the border around the game. Um, and it'll be different based on the difficulty. So like Divine Blessing has its own, like Flesh Automaton has its own border, Power Misery has its own, and Hope Eradicated has its own. And also in Hope Eradicated, if you die, it doesn't take away the difficulty. So you have to pick up a Divine Blessing difficulty to turn it back. And basically the way you unlock these difficulties, so like aside from dying a bunch, is you have to get to there's two places you can get them. One is in Archon Grid in the last level, basically the like final level for the first ending. And basically right at the start of that level, there's like this big glowy orb you can pick up that says you got the Divine Blessing, and basically that puts you on Divine Blessing difficulty. And so anytime you die, because it turns down difficulty once you pick it up, anytime you die you have to go back and pick up that difficulty whenever you go to like another level or something. So you could be playing level and then you die and then you have to go back, pick that up, and then go back to go on Divine Blessing difficulty. And same with Hope Eradicated. Like there's in that same level Archon Grid. Sorry, I don't know how to actually say it, but I'll just do say whatever. Um, in that same level, like you have to go through a bunch of stuff, and then you can pick up this thing, and it'll turn it into Hope Eradicated difficulty. But there's one other place you can also pick up Divine Blessing and Hope Eradicated difficulty in the Cruelty Squad headquarters, which is kind of fun. But the way to do this is you have to like explore the area a little bit, and then like initially when I was exploring Cruelty Squad headquarters, I like got to this area and it was like kind of just this empty room, and I was like, oh, it's weird, like I can hear someone like snoring around here, like what's going on? And then later I found out that you have to be on the 640 by 480 resolution to see the rest of the room, and that kind of when you do that it unlocks like a little shrine area, and you can pick up, it has both Divine Blessing and Hope Eradicated orbs for you to pick up and change the difficulty, which is really nice because picking up Divine Blessing and Archon Grid is not that bad, but picking up the Hope Eradicated in that level is kind of annoying because you have to go through a bunch of enemies and puzzles and stuff just to get to it. And the way you're supposed to figure that out is like there's an NPC in Archon Grid, I think, or like some other places, and they're like, oh, people say you can see secrets in this resolution, or like it's the holy resolution, which is kind of fun. Um, and one reason the difficulty is really important in this game is that it can unlock different doors for you to go through. So there isn't really a door for Flesh Automaton, but in Power and Misery on like the very first level you can play, there's like a door with a guy who's like, oh, you're like me, like you're in this bad state too, like he also looks kind of fucked up like you do. Um, and he's like, oh, you should eat corpses because it helps with healing and stuff. So that's kind of the only Power and Misery door. But there's a handful of like Divine Blessing doors. I think there's pretty much like throughout the game there's like a handful. um I don't think it's one on every level, but they're common enough that like you'll see them and come across, and you can't open it unless you are on Divine Blessing. So I didn't really understand that until later. Um, and it helps you like unlock certain stuff or like get to some secret levels or something, or even take shortcuts to help you like complete a level faster. And there's some doors for hope eradicated difficulty as well. So like in Cruelty Squad headquarters, there's this big door you come across. It's one of the first things like I saw because I went to that level first. It's like the first level in the level select, and most people are friendly there. But basically, you see this big door and it says some weird stuff, and you can't really open it until you come back later with the hope eradicated difficulty. And then once you come back with that, you can open the door, and there's this super long hallway, right? You can go through the hallway, but it'll do damage to you. It does like death radiation or something. And so like my strat for a while is like trying to go through as fast as you can, just as fast as possible. I was trying to use like the grapple hook and like the double jump and just like a speed boost or just literally whatever I can to get through as fast as I can. But I'd end up through the hallway with like a quarter of my health, and then there'd be a bunch of enemies shooting at me, so it made it really hard. So then I found out that the best way to get through it, because there's some other places you can go throughout Hope Eradicated difficulty. Um, I found out you go to the, I believe, pharmacokinetics level, and then there's like this building you can go into. And like when I'd initially gone there, I was like, oh, weird, like it's an empty building. And then you go through, and then you see like there's a guy there. He's like, oh, he's talking about death surgery, and he's like, oh, it changed my life. And then you go through, and then you get death surgery. And then after you get death surgery, it lets you go through that hallway because the death radiation doesn't hurt you anymore. But also, when you get death surgery, you have like a you get the ability to wall jump, um, which isn't relevant for most of the game, but it is on like the final level, um, like where you can unlock the final ending. Once you get death surgery, it also turns like your life orb, because throughout most of the game you have like an orb that says life, and it's like you're 100, and it says it's your life orb. It turns after you get your death surgery, it turns it into like a death orb, so it becomes like a pink spiky ball instead of like this green gooey blob. Basically, you go through the hallway, and then you kill some of the enemies, and there's like this guy who starts shooting at you. You have two paths you can really go. There's one guy that starts shooting at you, and you can fight him, and he has like a million health, but you have to like defeat him to unlock the second ending basically. And he's really hard to fight, so you kind of have to find a way to like cheese him. The other path takes you through like this kind of maze area, and lets you pick up this item called the, I think it's the ZKZ transactional rifle. And this gun basically does damage based on how much money you have, which is a really cool gimmick for the gun. So it's like if you have $10,000 invested in the stock market, it'll do like, like 10 damage or something. If you have 100,000, and do like 25 damage. And so basically you want like as much money as possible invested into the stock market for this gun to do the most. If you have like $1 million in the stock market, it'll do like 250 damage per shot. So if you have enough money, you can use this to kill the guy with a bunch of health and then unlock the second ending. If you don't have that much money, because I definitely didn't, there's other ways and other weapons you can use to kill the guy. For example, I was having trouble with him, and there's this like toxic there's a weapon called the riot pacifier you can shoot to like spawn gas clouds, and that's one way of like you can kill him over time. So I was thinking about using that, but I went back to unlock some of the guns I didn't have, because the way you unlock guns in this game is that you have to leave the level with the gun. So you can go into the level with whichever guns you have. So you start off with two guns, which is like the suppressed pistol and like a SMG. And then as you play through the game, when you exit the level with a gun that you find in the game, you can pick it up. And you can pick up any game or any gun in the level. But yeah, so you can unlock different guns. And so like I ended up going back and looking at like some of the guns I didn't have and trying to unlock them. And I ended up unlocking this like radiation gun, which was apparently really useful for killing that guy. So I ended up doing that, and also another secret weapon that you start out with, I believe, but I I don't need to go into that one. Um, but basically, you can cheese them get the second ending, and then after you beat the Cruelty Squad headquarters um, guy, you can and you beat the house level. So you have to buy a house also and beat that level, and then you have to beat the Cruelty Squad level. You unlock the actual final ending in which you have to like go into this final mission, and it's like super dark, and it's kind of like it's pretty much a maze, and you can't use any of your abilities. So, which is really interesting. And so for me, most of the game, I was using like the grapple hook and the double jump, and then I'd use maybe like the stealth suit or like the helmet or something. You can't use any abilities in the final level, but because you got death surgery, you can still do wall jumps. So that's actually when that comes into play. You can use the wall jumps to get through the level, and you kind of have to because otherwise you can't really get it. So it's kind of fun, I think, that the game forces you to like use that mechanic a lot. Because for most of the game, I didn't really use it. I'm like, oh, it's kind of useless. But at that point, you're like, oh shit, okay, this is where this comes in handy. Um, and then you go through that level, and like your goal in there is to like find the cradle of life or something. So you like find that, and then you that's how you get the final endings. You beat that level, and then you get the final ending. And then when I was like going through that map, like that map's pretty hard, and it's like really dark and scary. Like you don't even know where you get shot from sometimes. But you just like walk out in the room and you die sometimes. Um, I found a guy somewhere in like a cave, and he had like this giant blue like crosshair over him. Because throughout most of the game, your targets have like red crosshairs on them, you know. And I like killed him, and I'm like, oh, it's weird. Like this guy's a blue one. That's weird. So I kill him, and then I leave, and then apparently, I'm sorry, this is minor spoilers, but we're already in that territory. Um, once you kill him, it lets you use your powers in that or your abilities in that level. So I didn't realize that for a long time actually until I read it somewhere. And I'm like, oh my god, like I was trying to replay the level even though I had killed him. I like didn't know I could reuse I could actually use my abilities now. So I was just making it way harder for myself than it needed to be. Um but yeah, there's a lot of cool weapons in this game. There's a lot of cool abilities too. Some of the abilities you have to buy, like you need a certain amount of money to unlock them and buy them. Like you can see them right from the start. Some of them you have to find throughout the levels. And there's some really cool abilities. I really like the grappling hook. I love grappling hooks in any game. But your grappling hook in this game, it took me a while to like kind of come around to. I didn't like it at first because it's like one where you have to like use it, and then it grapples onto something, and then you have to press it again to let go. But I ended up really liking it. I kind of felt like Spider-Man, like going through the levels with it, because it helps you like swing and build a lot of momentum. Um, there's some other cool builds. Like there's one that they're like lets you shrink, and there's one that like literally lets you invert the level, so upside down. It basically makes it so that like up is down and down is up, which is just really crazy to see too. Um, and like seeing the speed runs in this game is pretty crazy. You can like I looked up some of them, and like it's really interesting the different strats people use. You know, there's like some levels people are beating in like 1 second, and like there's some levels where I was trying to get fast time, so I like went through and got like an S rank on all the levels, or I tried to. Um, you know, the levels are really fun. Like there's one where you're on like a cruise ship. There's one at like a ski resort. Like there's one where you go into this like giant like tower of an office building, and you have to kill like the sea suit people there, like the first, fourth, fifth, and you know whatever people who are in charge. And that level's kind of hard, but then you like play through it the first time, you're like, oh man, that's hard. And then you realize that like there's a bunch of glass on the outside of the building, and then you know what I started doing? I just start swinging around the building, hopping in to like kill each guy. You know, I'd break the window, shoot the next guy, go to the next corner, kill that guy, go to the next corner, break that window, kill that guy, and then you know you swing up to the top and you kill the CEO or whatever. One thing too about Hope Eradicated difficulty, I replayed all the levels on Hope Eradicated because when you do that, whenever you play a level on Hope Eradicated, it actually adds an extra target on each level because like some levels have like one or two or three, four targets or whatever, however many targets, but it adds an extra target and it shows as like question marks. Um, and it was kind of nice doing that because there are some places in the game that I would get to and I would just kind of be like, oh, like this room seems kind of weird. Like this room is just empty. Like it's pointless. But then I played on Hope Eradicated and it made more sense. I'm like, oh shit, like there's a target in this room now all of a sudden, like that's what this room is actually for. It's for the extra target. But yeah, it's pretty fun. You can mess around with like a lot of different loadouts. I really like the suppressed weapons because they don't like notify surrounding enemies, but there's so many different weapons. There's one called the Zippy 3000, which is the only weapon I didn't get because you have to like go to the casino level and like you have like a 1 in 500 chance to even get it. You have to like do a slot machine for it, and the gun's not even good. It's like a it's a stupid gun. It's like a 1 in 3 chance that it shoots a bullet, 1 in 3 chance it doesn't shoot a bullet, and then 1 in 3 chance that it does one damage to you, so that it hurts you. Um, and then there's like one of the abilities you can equip is like Extravagant Suit, which just makes you have 1 HP, and so like all the achievements in the game are like, oh, beat this level, and then the next achievement is beat this level with Extravagant Suit. So that's pretty much every level of achievement in this game. But there is someone who I saw on YouTube who they like, I guess they beat the whole game like they beat every level with the Zippy 3000 and the Extravagant Suit, which is pretty impressive. Um, but yeah, I gotta look up more speedruns too because they're pretty nuts from the stuff I saw, and I had a lot of fun like kind of theory crafting and stuff like on how best way to beat the level or like best route because again there's a lot of different ways you can go about the levels because they're pretty open. Yeah, I had a lot of fun like harvesting organs off of people and selling them on the market whenever I needed money. So that was fun. Or you could like sell fish or like once I got into the stocks, like that was kind of fun, but it was also like, ooh, like I don't know. Like the stocks are kind of volatile a little bit. And the fishing's pretty chill. It's a good time. Um, and I really like the levels. Like exploring the levels was my favorite part. When I would go through the levels the first time, I would just explore as much as I could and then kill the target and try to leave. Um, but then like later on, after I'd explored the levels, where I would go and like go try and go like super fast, But really, you could just play however you want. It's also really fun talking to the NPCs because they have different things to say based on level. Eventually, like they will say the same thing, but like they say some crazy shit. Like this game does not hold back in saying or implying crazy things, which is fun to go through. And it's like I've seen memes of the game. It's like, oh cool, like I've seen this guy say this on that meme. Like one of the one of the first things in the cutscene when you open up the game is like, oh, you're finally up from your depression nap. It's like, damn, dude, this shit hits hard. And like sometimes you can also talk to your targets before you kill them. So like if they're not hostile, you can like talk to them and see their dialogue, which is cool. You can talk to one guy who like started like a vegan meat company and then he like left or whatever, and so then that company is like after him, and the way the story is kind of interesting, but it's like hard to grasp. Basically, on the level select screen, like you click on a level and then there's like a text dialogue like this is and this, and like this person hired you, to go kill this guy because they betrayed the meat company or whatever. There's one guy who's like, oh, this guy wants you to try and kill him for the fun of it, and you got to try and do that. And so basically, most of the story you get through the text, but then when you go in the level, it's just like you can talk to people, but really you're just there to kill a target. And also on the level select screen, it'll show like your targets. I really enjoyed Cruelty Squad. Cruelty Squad feels and looks so much like a slop game. Like at a glance, you look at it and you're like, what the fuck is like going on here? And you're like, this looks like some slop, dude. It and but then you like play through it and it's actually like a really well made and intentionally designed game. It's like made to be that way. obviously, but it's like really well thought out. Um, and that like you can just the possibilities in this game are crazy. Like you can play the whole game by only kicking people, or like you can play the whole game as stealth or just killing everyone, or like civilians you can kill, but like you don't need they don't really matter that much. I'm pretty sure like it doesn't matter if they die. And yeah, I really enjoyed exploring this game. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're into like immersive sims, because it's basically an immersive sim. Or if you like Dishonored or like Hitman or any of those kinds of games where you like go in to like find a target, or if you just like trippy games, this game's pretty good too. I think that's about it. Thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I hope I convince you guys to join the corporate mindsets. And I will see my fellow CEOs later. Peace out.